your voice would be a part of the recording. So the scholarly skills community, boost your academic success. For our session tonight on the scholarly skills community. So we're going to talk about what is the scholarly skills community, a little bit of background on the scholarly skills community. Of course, we've got to do a tour in Blackboard of the scholarly skills community. We're going to talk about integration in courses, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. So what is a scholarly skills community? So this is a, quote, community within Blackboard. It's also called an organization within Blackboard. I'll show you that when we go to do the tour. And this community was created and managed in partnership by the University Library and the University Writing Center. So depending on, it focuses on scholarly skills. So that might be things related to finding information or interpreting information or things like that. And that's kind of the library's wheelhouse. Or it could be involved, or it could be related to writing, scholarly writing, avoiding plagiarism, things like that. And that's really in the Writing Center's wheelhouse. So we combine forces to work on this. Our goal here was really to help provide information and training at the time of need, so at the point of need. So we've developed asynchronous modules, more than 20 asynchronous modules. And asynchronous is just a word that educators use to mean at your own pace, on your own time, basically, not live like this is, right? So this live session is a synchronous session. The modules within the scholarly skills community are asynchronous, which means you do them when you want to do them, and they're there for you 24/7 whenever you need that information. As I mentioned, we have more than 20 modules, and they are divided into 6 topic areas. And for each module, you can earn micro-credentials. And what we mean by that is that you're awarded a certificate to affirm your mastery of the information or the skills in that module. So in each module, there's at the end an assessment piece. For most of the modules, it's kind of a quiz, a short multiple choice quiz. For other modules, it depends on what the content of the module is. For other modules where you're really practicing more skills, the module might be something more hands-on where you have to do something else to affirm your mastery of whatever's in that module. And then there's certain requirements that you have to earn a certain score on the assessment to earn this certificate. So it's not a check mark, you did it sort of a thing. It's really testing that you learned from the module, or testing that you have the skills and you know the information presented in the module. And then I just wanted to mention partnership with courses. So this is a part of what we want to do, and what we're doing with the scholarly skills community is that there might be things that a module in the scholarly skills community talks about and covers that is really useful in your courses. I mean, everything is going to be useful in your courses, but there might be specific things. The example that I always give is that there is a course where students are asked specifically to find several qualitative articles and several quantitative articles on a certain topic. And at least for us in the library, we get a lot of questions from students around that requirement, qualitative versus quantitative articles, finding those articles, identifying, right? Okay, I've got an article in front of me. How do I know if it's qualitative or it's quantitative? How do I even, is there a search that I can do if I'm specifically looking for a qualitative article? How do I search so I can be more likely to find a qualitative article without digging through, tons of results? So this is the kind of thing where the partnerships with courses can be really great, right? That if an instructor is having an assignment like that, or something like that, where you as a student need to know information or need to have skills that aren't taught within that course, your instructor can point you towards the scholarly skills community, right? And either recommend, if, for example, in this particular course with the qualitative and quantitative, the instructor can say, this is the assignment, to find these qualitative and quantitative. If you need help on that, if you're not sure how to do that, I recommend that you do the module in the scholarly skills community on that topic. And in some courses, instructors might require you to do a certain module. There are several courses that we know that the instructors are requiring. In a couple courses, they're requiring the plagiarism module, and in some of the courses, the basic searching, identifying keywords and basic searching module is required. And in those cases, the instructor actually requires students to submit their certificate, right? So when you earn that certificate after doing the assessment in the module, you get a PDF certificate, and an instructor might actually ask you to submit that in your course to prove, right, that you did that module, that you have those skills, that you have that information, that knowledge presented in that module. So that's what the partnerships with courses is all about. I'll say that the scholarly skills community is still new, so we're still developing some of those partnerships and looking for places where those partnerships make sense. So I mentioned that we have 6 main topic areas. This is mostly for organization's sake, right? So there's multiple modules under each topic area, but they're divided into getting started, advanced searching, evaluating resources, formatting and referencing, scholarly writing, and scholarly communications. Question came in, where do we access the scholarly skills community on Blackboard? So in just a minute, I'm actually going to do a demo and show you how to get to it, where it is on Blackboard, and we'll do kind of a little orientation to the scholarly skills community itself in Blackboard. So this is just a little bit of intro before we get into that. I just wanted to share some background briefly, so how this kind of came about, or kind of the process a little bit. So we have been working on it, we being the library staff and the Writing Center staff have been working on it since about November 2020. And we launched this in July of 2021. So we spent a good 6+ months developing the content, developing these modules in partnership with an instructional designer here at the University of St. Augustine. So they were very carefully crafted, right, to present information that's important for the students, as well as to make them engaging. I'll show you when we get into it. There's several modules that have really engaging aspects to them, so we wanted them to be very engaging. And as I mentioned before, this is really a way we wanted to provide additional ways for students to get help, especially asynchronously for convenience. And in no way we weren't trying at all, and our goal is not at all to replace one-on-one assistance with library staff or with Writing Center staff, but really just to, like I said, provide that convenience, right? I mean, if somebody is working on something at 2 o'clock in the morning, right, there's probably not a librarian or a Writing Center tutor available at that time to help, but the scholarly skills community is available, and you can log in there and check out the resources in there, and hopefully solve your problem or get an answer to your question that way. So it does not replace in any way any one-on-one support and assistance that the Writing Center and the library provide. All right, so now is the time for the tour. All right. So you should be seeing Blackboard now. I'm already logged into Blackboard, but I wanted to start on the institution page, which is this main navigation page in Blackboard Ultra, the Blackboard Ultra-based navigation. So where you'll find the Scholarly Skills Community is under Organizations. Click on Organizations, and Scholarly Skills Community should be listed by default for all students and all faculty members. And if it's not for you, especially if you're a faculty member, you can contact either library or Writing Center and let us know, and we'll talk to the Blackboard folks about making sure that you're added. But there is supposed to be a process for new students and new faculty members to be added automatically. So I'm going to click here on Scholarly Skills Community, and then I'm going to change to the student preview mode so that you'll see on the screen here exactly what you'd see when you're logged in. Obviously, I've got editing access and things like that on my account, but Okay, so now I'm in the student preview mode. So this is exactly what you'll see when you log in, other than the orange bar across the top. This is exactly what you'll see when you log in. So we have the welcome screen. We've got a nice graphic here, information about how to use the scholarly skills community. And we talked about some of this already, about the modules being asynchronous. You can browse and complete modules in any order at your own pace. There's not, they're in an order, but it's not, basically pull what information you need, right? You can pick and choose. You don't need to do like anything systematic in going through the modules. You don't even have to do all of the modules or multiple modules. Really, whatever you need is the point of it. Complete the modules you need or want to complete. There's no requirement to go through all the modules or in any particular order. Come back again and again, right? You might have a pressing need now, and you can find that information now. And then 2 weeks from now, there might be a different need, so you can come back and check out something different as that need arises. As I mentioned, each module has assessment requirements, but and then once you meet those assessment requirements, you're awarded a certificate of completion for that module. But unless you need it for the course or you just like to have it, so there's no requirement for getting a certificate for the module. If a module has just some information that you want to look at, you can go in, look at that information, come back out. You don't necessarily need to do the assessment and get a certificate unless you're being required to turn that certificate in somewhere, or it's something that you want to have. They're also good to have for listing on resumes or things like that. Some of these to show that you have these particular skills. I'll talk about where to find your certificates. I mentioned you might be required to complete certain modules as part of a course or potentially advisor requirements. And every module is open to both students and faculty members. Anybody can complete these. We are going to be adding modules periodically as the need arises and update modules as the need arises. And you'll see when we get into it, each module has listed when it was last updated. So you can tell kind of how fresh the modules are and how often they're being updated. So our 6 primary topics are here. We talked about those in the PowerPoint, and they're also listed on the side over here. Just like in your courses, your weekly units are listed on the side. So I'm going to click on Getting Started, and you'll see there's 3 modules within Getting Started. The first one is on developing a research topic. There's one on identifying keywords and basic searching, and databases and finding full text. So you'll see the name of each module and a little description. So it's these individual modules that have the certificates, right? So there's not a getting started certificate. There's a developing a research topic certificate. There's an identifying keywords and basic searching certificate. And there's a databases and finding full text certificate. So you can certainly just complete one. You don't even have to fully complete. As I mentioned, you can click in and find the information that you need and leave it again without completing an assessment or anything for a certificate. Advanced searching. This is one of our more full modules. There's a lot to say on advanced searching. Advanced research techniques, controlled vocabulary, and mesh. Finding and identifying quantitative and qualitative research studies. This is the one I was referencing a little bit earlier. Cognitive bias in the literature search. Intersectional search strategies for evidence-based practice, and systematically searching for scoping reviews. This was another module, the scoping reviews one, that came out of, we saw the need for this, right? That there, particularly among OTD students, our occupational therapy doctorate students, we were seeing a lot of them choosing to do scoping reviews for their capstone projects. And so they would choose a scoping review and then be like, okay, now what, right? And a key piece of doing a scoping review is getting that search just right, doing a systematic search, reproducible search, and getting that just right. So this is a good place. If you're somebody who wants to do a scoping review, this is a good place to start for your searching. Evaluating resources is the next one. And here we've got types of resources, hierarchy of evidence, critical appraisal tools, and systemic bias in internet search engines and scholarly databases. The next one is formatting and referencing, and this gets into some of the Writing Center focused modules. There's one on APA, there's one on AMA, and then there's one on citation managers. So these are the automated softwares that you can use to not only to generate citations, but also to help you organize your sources. As you're searching and you find good sources that you want to use for your projects, you can save them to a citation manager so everything's kind of organized in one place. Scholarly writing is the next section. We have components of scholarly writing, plagiarism, and then a special section on capstones and dissertations. And this is kind of one of those modules that you only need it if you need it, right? So if you're doing a capstone or a dissertation, this is a good place to go. And if you click into it, it's separated into, it's a little different because it's separated into sections. It's got some basic stuff, but then it's got program specific things related to that program's specific capstone or dissertation requirements and things like that. So that's a useful one. And the final section is scholarly communications. And here we have open access and copyright and Creative Commons are the two modules in here. Now I do want to show one of our more engaging modules, and this one uses some very unique things, aspects to teach, and that one is cognitive bias, I believe, is the one I'm looking for. I think that's what I was thinking about. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back. It's actually in evaluating resources and systemic bias. Here we go. This is what I was thinking of. And this will also give you a good sense of what comprises each module as we go through this. So there's going to be an overview of each module. It gives you just basic information. This one's fun because I don't know if I've got the speakers turned on, but he's got like kind of a cool Twilight Zone thing going on here. This is Matthew Chase. He's one of our librarians. He's the San Marcos campus librarian. He's the one who mostly put together this module. And I meant you can see that here too. And I mentioned you can see the last updated date. So each module is going to say who it was created by and when it was last updated. And so then he used some cool interactive book is what he calls it, but he used it for different things. So there's this handbook, right? And this is sort of a Dungeons and Dragons sort of a theme. And you can click through and see, you know, different pages in here and click through. So pretty cool. And then he did the same thing here, but he used this one where it's this kind of creepy castle scene and you can click on the different things to see different information. And this one he used, they're like trading cards. So different things and you can click to read each one. So some pretty interactive elements in this one. And this is a new one that that was developed more recently, and it is here. I'll just show it briefly. This is using a particular software that you can use. You can use it like it's like a choose your own adventure sort of a thing. So again, an engaging thing that we're trying to make it interesting. So we recognize, right, that some of this content is not the most interesting for most people. We love it, but it's not the most interesting for most people. So we've tried to make it kind of as fun as and as engaging as we could. A couple other things that I just wanted to show you in here. We've got a section on helpful links, upcoming events at the library, archive virtual events, scholarly skills community team, information about that. And we also have a faculty zone. So this is obviously for faculty members. If you are a faculty member, you can come in here and if you want to require a particular module in your course, we request that you let us know so that we know so we can be prepared for kind of the onslaught of people completing that section. And then we also have a survey here where if there's, for faculty members, if there's other modules that you'd like to see in this, or if there's particular aspects of an already existing module that that you have suggestions on, that section is there as well. And then finally, My Certificates, and this is a test student preview account, so I don't think there'll be anything listed here, but this is where you get your certificates. Basically, the certificates are given to you as like in your courses when you receive your grade and your feedback from your faculty member, the certificates are attached in that kind of that feedback section of Blackboard. And so when you pull up the My Certificate section, anything you've completed will be listed here, and you can access the certificates that way. Okay, let me go back here. That's the tour. Okay, questions. What questions do you have about Scholarly Skills Community? I guess one thing that I'll say, let me pop back over to Scholarly Skills Community real quick. One thing that I'll say is, as far as boosting your academic success, right? The idea is that these are skills that you use in your courses that aren't necessarily taught in your courses, right? There's not really a course at the University of St. Augustine about how to, write in a scholarly voice. There's not a course about searching, necessarily. And so these are skills that but you use those things, right? You use these things in your assignments that you are being graded on. So the idea is that you can come here, gain that knowledge, gain those skills that will then help you to be successful in your courses, more successful maybe in your assignments than you would have been if you didn't have these skills. Question here, requesting certificates. Is it true that the certificates are only generated at the end of the week? So that applies really mostly to the Writing Center modules, which are under formatting and referencing and scholarly writing. They have limited staff, so they do it every Saturday. Somebody goes through and generates the certificates. So these are like certificates, right? Like, so we generate them, each one individually with the person's name, with a date, with a unique number on it. So it takes a little bit of time. So the Writing Center, due to their staffing model, they do that once a week. Now for the library modules, those should be within, those should be quicker. We say within 5 business days is really what we say. Or 7 calendar days. But it's usually quicker than that, especially if it's one of the modules that has a quiz, a multiple choice quiz, and there's not actual grading or scoring that's taking place. Those will be generated more quickly. But definitely plan ahead. If you're required to turn something in for a course by a certain date, definitely plan ahead.